A Fort Myers veteran battles for his security deposit after moving out of an apartment building in the city. His family reached out for help after he couldn't get his more than $3,000 back. Wink News investigative reporter Celine MacArthur finds out what happened with the man's money and his legal rights.
Eugene Strickland is slowly getting settled into his new waterfront apartment in Fort Myers.
Homey, comfy, if you're looking for just relaxing.
He moved out of nearby Campo Felice at the end of September. He loved it, but the 55-plus living facility was recently sold and transformed into a regular apartment complex.
They took away all of the perks, so it was basically going to be a rental apartment.
Strickland moved out and 55 days later was still waiting for his $3,198 security deposit to be returned.
When they stopped answering my calls and such, I told my daughter, I said, well, we can kiss that goodbye.
Under Florida's security deposit law, if a landlord plans to return the entire security deposit, it must be done within 15 days. If the landlord wants to withhold some of that money, they have to notify the tenant in writing within 30 days. Strickland says he didn't get the check or the notice. I reached out to Campo Felice's property management several times to find out why.
I'm sorry, they're not interested in what?
They didn't return my calls or emails, so I went in person. The leasing agent at the front desk would not let me talk to property manager Gary Horlacher. When I asked for another way to reach him, she wrote down this email, which came back as invalid. I then reached out to the owner of the property, Westside Capital Group in Miami.
No one has voicemail at Westside Capital Group?
Again, no one would talk to me.
It does beg the question, why? What is the intent here?
Criminal attorney Lance Dunford doesn't represent Strickland, Campo Felice, or Westside Capital Group, but I asked him to weigh in.
The knee-jerk is this criminal is because of the type of vulnerable class that this gentleman is. You know, being elderly, we do have a charge on the books here in Florida of exploitation of the elderly. Mr. Strickland has the right to have law enforcement investigate this.
The Lee County Sheriff's Office investigates financial crimes.
When in doubt, it's always best to report. It's a lot worse later on down the road to have never filed a report when maybe you could have gotten that help and solved this case a lot faster.
Florida Gulf Coast University legal expert Pam C., who is not involved in the case, thinks Strickland may also have a civil claim. While he says he doesn't have money to hire a lawyer, C says he may not have to pay.
The statute allows for the tenant to have their legal fees paid for by the landlord if the landlord owes them money.
In the meantime, Strickland gets a call from property management at Campo Felice. They now have a check for him. And we're there as he makes the walk back into his old building to get his money.
What do you think when you see the check?
I'm thinking it took an awful long time and some sleepless nights.
How does it feel that it took all of this effort just to get what was already yours?
Well, I wouldn't have it if it wasn't for you and yours.
He hopes sharing his story will help other seniors.
Well, I think this is the beginning. I'm hoping that it's the beginning. Because enough already. They think that a person, because they're over 60, 70, or 80, is stupid or something, you know, and are treated like, well, worse.
Strickland says when he got the check from Campo Felice management, they didn't tell him why it took nearly 2 months for him to get his money back. He did sit down with the Lee County Sheriff's Office to file a report, and we'll let you know what happens next. The AARP reports more than 334,000 cases of elder financial exploitation every year. So if this has happened to you, contact your local police department and state attorney's office to file reports. In the meantime, if you have something you'd like me to investigate, email us at investigations@winknews.com. In Fort Myers, I'm investigative reporter Celine MacArthur, Wink News Now.